and I didn't officially welcome you to Win with Manju coaching and consulting service. Welcome Jason and welcome Deepa to Win with Manju coaching and consulting services Win with Manju YouTube channel. We are really privileged to have you here today because I've been hearing about Jason since probably he was 6 years old. So
Yes.
I'm very curious because if I had met you as a child, I would have taken some tips from you how to convince my parents to go for. But unfortunately, I'm a little too old for that. But I'm still curious. How did you stumble upon this idea of homeschooling? And question number two, how did you manage to convince your parents into agreeing to this?
Okay, so the answer to question one would be
Uh,
yeah. My mother's friend's son was doing homeschooling,
okay,
and so I knew of the concept of homeschooling quite some time back.
okay,
But it was only around the end of fourth standard which I started thinking that it was a possibility that I could actually start homeschooling. Mm, Their initial reaction was like,
uh,
if you feel this is good for you and if
okay,
you feel you will benefit out of it,
uh,
then go ahead and do it.
okay,
What was happening is I was learning about a lot of new things during that period. Like I learned about the periodic table in third grade, but in my class nobody had even heard of it. So I found it like really tedious to explain to my classmates what it was and the different elements. But I thought if I did homeschooling, I would be able to share that knowledge with my mother and she would be able to share it with me as an equal.
okay, okay. So
Yeah,
you found that your peers are not actually understanding what you are much fascinated about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They are not at the same wavelength as you, right?
I think for him it was not the understanding part. I think
Ah,
it was more of he likes a lot of discussions and debates and bouncing of ideas.
Yeah, that.
okay.
And he's very enthusiastic. So when he is excited about something,
Yeah.
he loves to share.
I kind
Ah,
of go on the learning spree.
Yeah, he goes on a learning spree,
okay.
and not only does he go on a learning spree, he actually enjoys discussing about it with somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think he was not finding that sort of an atmosphere in school. I think that was where he was finding it.
Okay. So how do you structure your day? It's like very I mean, if I were a child, I would have loved to be homeschooled. You don't want to get up, you don't want to get dressed. Just lie around in bed, then laze around with a book. Is it how you do your homeschooling?
Yeah. So homeschooling basically is just learning from school.
Okay.
And from home.
Learning from home. Learning from home. When you say learning, but here learning encompasses a wider thing. So suppose you're learning to do taxes, that's also learning.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
So
yeah.
there's a whole lot of things that you can probably learn. So when I say homeschooling, or rather, that could be the key difference between what learning implies between homeschooling and a traditional school.
Okay.
Now, as far as what we are following, there are many ways. Different people follow different things. So we follow what we feel is suited for him as well as us as a family.
Okay.
So we have a more structured approach. Basically, because he's also somebody who likes some routine. Yeah. So he kind of likes a routine. So between the both of us, we kind of decide what is our learning goal for the year,
Okay.
which also includes our subjects, and then break it down to weeks. And we have a routine. For example, morning 9 to 12, we do studies, as in, we do look at some textbook. And again, from 2 to 4,
Yeah.
again, we kind of take a do our lunch break.
And then come back.
No, 12 to 2 we take a lunch break, and then come at 2 to 4 again, we kind of again look at something. So that's how our day is structured. Post that, we don't have any homework, none of that.
Okay.
So essentially it leaves him with a lot of free time to pursue things he
Like.
um,
Okay.
now, even though this is the broad structure, it also gives us a lot of flexibility to kind of shift and play around when we have things that are more interesting coming out.
Oh, okay.
Whereas in a traditional school, we are excited about something, you really can't pursue that.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you can pursue that.
So, do you help your mom during those 12 to 2?
Not really. We actually watch movies.
Okay. That sounds fun. So, is it the same thing every day, or when you wake up one day, you're like, okay, today it's raining, I don't feel like studying? Do you say things like that?
Yes, so sometimes it does get delayed a bit, but mostly we do keep the same schedule.
Okay. Monday to Friday, or is it Monday to Saturday, or
Monday to Friday only.
Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
And what about, other kids, if they don't want to go to school, they'll say, I'm having stomach pain, mommy, and all that. You can't do that. So what do? If you don't want to study, just tell your mom as it is.
I don't do that.
You don't do that. You like studying, right?
Yeah, I like studying. So I actually look forward to the day.
And your mom gives you the flexibility to study whatever you want. If you don't want to study science, you can read a book that day. Huh?
Not really.
No, actually, that we do have a schedule. Like we have like a timetable. So we have so we do try to keep like that. But like you said, there are days when I would be tired, or I would be cranky, or he is tired, or he is cranky, and then we do kind of rearrange. What we do is first, let's say we are learning something in science.
Yeah.
So the first day we both will sit together and we read the chapter together. And that's primarily because, like I said, he likes to bounce off ideas. So I am there just so that he can, bounce ideas off and discuss. And sometimes that's why we have that 2 hour slot also, because most of the times we'll start off with something in science, we'll end up talking something else. It could be philosophy, or it could be history. So we that's how we kind of read the lesson.
Okay.
Post that, he kind of writes down answers to the questions or whatever is in the textbook or workbook on his own. I don't interfere with what he is writing. The idea is just to see how well he can, communicate. Whether he's understood and he's able to also communicate it in, spoken and written language.
Yeah.
If there are slight corrections, I kind of tell him that, I think this could be, better, or rephrase or, things like that. But mostly, initially we did find that challenging, because in school the answers are given out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what happens is that when asked for a short answer question or a long answer question, child will typically write in the same way. But I think he's now kind of figured out, okay, this is how I can explain if I'm given, more time or more space to explain what I have to say. Yeah. So that's how it works. Right? And because homeschooling is all about taking self-responsibility and self-learning.
Okay. I mean, this question is to both Deepa and Jason. Did you face any kind of, say, maybe criticism, like what are you doing with your son? Why are you doing this? That kind of questions from the society.
Have you faced?
Not among my family, but among my classmates. Because I don't think they really got the concept. Because it's like a novel concept. And,
okay.
Yeah.
So I think as far as family was concerned, I think both sets of grandparents were totally fine with that. think everybody was cool about it.
Yeah. I think, one thing I really loved about your homeschooling thing is the way you are experimenting. Like even the pH thing, you are experimenting by cleaning the fish tank, then you measure the pH. The first time I had the litmus paper in my hand, I was like, oh, I become a scientist. It's turning. So same way you're testing the pH and then cleaning.
He's not about testing everything in the house.
Everything.
Sunny saliva, a dog saliva, our saliva.
I wanted to
But
come.
then, okay. So I know Deepa, you are taking care, but can you explain to us how you take care of that interaction with peers for
So,
Jason's development?
yeah, I think when Jason came to me and spoke to me about homeschooling,
Yeah.
for me the primary concern was how will he have these social interactions?
Yes.
Because a child in the house,
Oh.
there are certain things that you will do because he's your child. You will kind of if he throws things around, you may forgive him.
Yes. Yes.
Or if he is rude to you,
Ah.
you may act in a certain way,
Yes.
right? Which is not what is the expected norm outside,
Outside.
right?
Yeah.
This was my primary concern too as a parent.
Ah.
So when I asked him how is he going to manage this, because he said, I thought I should ask the question back to him.
Ah.
How do you plan to manage this? Your social life.
Ah.
So what he told me then was that he's very interested in sports.
Okay.
So he plays all games, whether it is cricket or badminton or table tennis. Naturally, he likes a lot of sports. So he said, "Don't worry, I will anyway in the evening. My evenings are free, so I will go play with friends. So that should be enough social interaction for me because in the school, ideally,
Yeah.
true social interaction happens when the teacher is not there."
Yeah.
Right? Because that's when a child is actually in their where they are their true selves.
Yeah.
Because when a teacher is in class, it's a controlled environment.
Yes. Yes.
So in that context, I felt, and it was true. Going forward this 1.5 years since we have made the shift to, I
Okay.
find that he has a lot more time to kind of play with children, and it's all free play because I'm not standing and watching out what he is doing.
Yes.
A lot more interactions happening with children,
Okay.
and I think that is giving me the confidence that what he said was what he predicted would happen is true.
Yeah.
So I think if you're homeschooling, there is this perspective that the child is kind of isolated
Yeah. Yeah.
from the world. The child still needs those interactions with not just friends, even with others, right? Even adults, very young children, a whole range, so that they develop their social skills.
Yes.
And, I think there is ample opportunities in our life for that.
In boys, they say in boys' restrooms or boys' bathrooms, there's some pecking order, it seems. That's what my son says, and I read in books also. So, in your where you live, when you play with these boys, do you find their rough side, as in them bullying you or criticizing you? So, have you ever experienced something like that?
Yeah, I have been bullied, but as far as I know, bullies are not evil. I'm not discriminating. They bully everyone.
Okay. So, how do you handle the bullies?
So I usually ignore them.
Wonderful. I think Deepa, now I say you have succeeded in this homeschool because the primary worry that a parent has when you homeschool is how do you, when the child is left alone or when he becomes a young man, he could be bullied. Now your son has already learned to handle it.
Yeah. So maybe one good thing is also that we are living in a gated community, so he has access to a lot of children.
Children, yeah.
Right? And another good thing for us about homeschooling is that in the mornings we start our day only at 9.
Okay.
So many days he's able to join Santosh in his runs. Santosh runs regularly. So it's about 2 or 3 days a week, 3 days a week he runs with Santosh and Abhi.
So you run with your dad. Dad is your running partner, something like that. So you're saying that due to homeschooling, you're also able to spend more time pursuing all that. Otherwise, you'll have to rush. You have to run to catch your school bus. Otherwise,
Yes.
Yeah.
what are your hobbies other than what you do? I know you like running, you like playing badminton. What else you like?
I play cricket.
Okay.
I learned to swim, but I'm not very confident.
Confident. Okay.
Then yeah, I am very good at basketball. I got this
Okay.
trophy.
Oh my God, very good.
Yeah.
But what was your strength in basketball?
See, I was faster than every single person on the court.
Ah, okay.
No one could catch me. So if I have the ball, no one is going to catch
Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Excellent.
Chess also.
me. I play chess also. I'm
Chess.
quite good.
Chess.
Not quite good and intermediate. I would say quite good. Yeah, I also love reading. I love action and adventure. I also love crime, like detective stories.
Often when we are speaking, we
Ah.
kind of go off on a tangent. So I think somewhere we started one day talking about stock markets, and then from there,
We started talking about insider trading.
yeah, we started talking about insider trading.
Trading.
And so, I was kind of, the discussion went that way.
And then you were talking about Den of Thieves.
And then I said there's this book called Den of Thieves, which I found very interesting, which, I felt I learned a lot about insider trading and even stocks and junk bonds and things like that, which I didn't really understand when I was doing my MBA. But when I read that book, it was kind of made it, very simple because I could understand it in respect to the context. And then, our conversation shifted to bad blood. And then he said, oh, that sounds interesting. So I said, we have the book if you want, you could try that. And, that's how he picked on that. And since he read that, he said, yeah, this sounds interesting. Now I'd like to try Den of Thieves.
So he has finished Bad Blood and now he wants to try
Yes,
Den of Thieves. Wonderful.
so I think he's being very experimentative in the kind of books he's been reading. I think even what you're reading now is he's been reading Empire of the Mughals. Yes.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's kind of from Bad Blood, it's like an entirely different
different genre.
The only thing
you are out of this mindset that you learn only when you are in school or only somebody is teaching you something.
Yeah.
But a lot of learning that a child picks up happens through observations,
Yes.
in daily life. And I think if you can bring that connect between, science and your daily life or history and your daily life.
like a guitar, it's strings. Metal is ductile. It shows that.
Correct. So it says that shows it's ductile. When you are ready to learn, whatever it may be, the guru will appear in whatever form. It could be internet, it could be somebody sitting so many miles away. It could be your grandparents, but they will appear. If you have experienced it, observed it, and you are excited about it, then you will pick up that very fast. And I think there is really no need for anybody to actually teach anything to somebody. If the child wants to learn, then you don't have to do it again and again and again. Child will pick it up just like that. So I think that's the whole concept that the child is capable of learning on its own. So even when his friends come to play, again, that's the only rule in our house, that when friends come to play, we don't use the computer or the TV. These two things I have never encouraged, right through childhood. And yes, and I think you have to let them also that freedom so that they can learn and experiment and fail. When they become an adult, because like I said, there are lots of concerns. As a parents, when you're homeschooling, there are quite a lot of concerns.
Yes.
One was the social aspect, for which he gave me this thing that he will continue playing with friends.
Yeah.
Another challenge also is that it's very what do you say? Nothing is clear.
Yes.
Right? In a traditional school, things are very very clear.
Well laid out. Yeah.
Yes, but in a homeschooling thing, it's very unclear. For example, what I mean by unclear is that you do know that you can take an iOS or IGCSE and write,
Yes.
but there could be a lot of policy changes that happen in the meanwhile.
Mm.
Right? So if you're in a school, the school will tell you, hey, now three-language policy. So
Yeah.
you are supposed to take, if it is going to be, they're going to insist that the third language is an Indian language, they will tell you, okay, this is the change that has happened. Whereas in homeschooling, you typically do not have that sort of a support system, even though there are homeschooling groups. Each one is following their own, methodology. And what works best for your family will not work, will not be the ideal path for somebody else. So nobody can, tell you, if you take this path, this
we have a successful homeschooling.
Yes, this will be a successful homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because I think homeschooling is like a personalized thing.
Right.
Personalized. Yeah. I think he put it right. It's like each child is unique.
Correct.
So
Right.
what works for Jason may not work for
Right.
another child. Yeah.
Correct. So, so I think that change what would have usually been, I think, very hard usually for a child to decide. In our case, thankfully, I think he was told, came from him. So I think that is what. If anybody asks me about homeschooling, I will say that the first and most important thing is that your child is okay with this.
Yeah.
Because if your child is not okay with this,
Yeah.
I don't see it succeeding.
Succeed.
Because ultimately, what is your goal? So like when we were looking at it, what were our goals? Our goals were, if you see broadly, that we want to learn and be excited about learning.
Yeah.
Right? And we want to progress in a way that is fun for him.
Yes. More experiment based, like.
Right.
It's not just learn the theory. Okay, if you learn pH,
Correct.
immediately experiment.
Correct.
Magnets, immediately you do some experiment on magnet.
Correct.
Whereas in school, sometimes they may not have time to do all that. You have to keep portions and.
Correct. So, I was asking him, one of the questions he had said was, what liberty will you take here that you don't take in school? So he said, interestingly, his answer was that I won't think twice about correcting you. Yes.
As a mommy, Deepa as a teacher, like you see that she will encourage debates. This question is Jason, like.
What auntie is asking is, as a mom and as a teacher, do I encourage debate?
Yes, you do. And in fact, tomorrow we are holding debate. I'm holding a debate with my father on what are the two greatest inventions.
No matter what you go for, I love you, and that is foremost. And your safety is foremost for me. So as a mother, my first concern is your safety, whether be it physical or emotional. Even though I may be, sad or whatever, everything else will come secondary.
Yeah.
But my primary thing is, your safety, and that my love for you will, kind of not. It's not like I will love you more or love you less because you accomplished this, I love you more, or you didn't do this, I love you less. So I think we are having a lot of these discussions which we normally didn't have time before.
I feel you are like a diamond in the making, like you are getting polished and care of this. So homeschooling, if it goes wrong, the entire blame may come on Deepa. That thought might have crossed your mind, right?
Yes. So So like I said, in that 1 year, that was the time when I was kind of thinking about what happens, will I be able to kind of manage what are his, even educational needs, whether I will be able to manage it at home.
Yeah.
Again, there was actually ample time of 1 year for him to change his mind, and throughout we kept asking him, "Are you sure you want to go to proceed?"
Yeah.
And he kept saying yes. So now we are able to, without these distractions of how much did I score, how much, what is the grade, did I top, did I not top, because without all that distraction, now you are really simply focusing on the joy.
Joy of learning. Focus
Yes.
on the joy of learning rather than how she's as a teacher.
I never thought of her as a teacher. Ever.
It's always like a conversation between friends, something like that.
A lot of these things are like, oh, I didn't get this when I was younger.
Yes. Learn again.
I think he's figuring out that you don't have to connect with a single person on all levels.
All levels.
But
Yes.
in everybody, there is something that you can
Connect. You just have to find it.
Everyone you meet, they have something to offer to you.
Exactly.
And there is something you will learn, something that you didn't know from that person.
Yeah.
Right? So I think now what's happened is that one, he gets it that there are things you can talk to different people. There'll be people who are interested in chess, so you can talk very nicely about chess. Or if he is interested in table tennis, I can talk to them about table tennis. So there are different people have different interests.
And because I'm involved in a wide range of activities,
Yes,
I can talk about almost everything I know.
Yes, and the second, even better thing that's happening is that because you're talking to people on things they are good at, you then start realizing that, hey, I am not so good in this. So then you become more humble.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you realize that, I like this, I'm good at it, but I'm not as great
as good as them.
there. So, in every person I meet, they are good at something, better than me. So I think all that kind of helps. I would put it this way. For example, if a child is growing up thinking that, their intellect is very important, and the child kind of starts thinking that is their only identity. And that is not a nice thing to have. Because then you will have, a child grow up into a very self-centered person.
Yeah, self-centered, and also it can also happen that you measure yourself only by your grades or by this
your achievements,
professional achievements.
Yes.
Minus your profession or minus your grade, you feel you are nothing.
Yes. Right. So that can actually lead to a lot of unhappiness. Maybe not, you may not see it when the child is young, but as they grow bigger and they become an adult, they definitely will have problems if they are going to measure their success based on validations from outside.
And addiction to success. It's like you need one success after the other.
Right.
To keep yourself happy.
It's addictive. So I think I don't know, but this is my gut feel. I think the most frustrating thing for Jason would be that because it's very driven by competing and winning. I think the most frustrating thing for him would be to hear me say, "Don't do that.
Don't compete." Right?
Don't compete. Or I mean, I think I'm sure we can ask him how he's feeling.
Actually, you should be.
I can't say it myself.
Exactly. I'm saying the same. It's like you just accept yourself as you are. Good. But
happiness is not found at the end.
Yeah.
happiness is like a
all throughout.
all throughout. It's a
Has to
journey.
be all.
Yes.
Right? You can't sacrifice your
Yes.
happiness now for
Have
happiness
happiness
later.
later.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Because then you'll never achieve happiness.
yeah.
yes.
You'll constantly think, I want more,
Yes.
and more,
Yeah.
and more.
Yes.
And you kind of get into that.
Right.
I think that's what your mom was trying to teach you. Like, say, by being competitive, don't be competitive. It's
Talking with yourself. If
yes.
you did something, you think, okay, how can I improve? If I ran, 5K in 25 minutes, set a target for yourself.
Yes.
I will run 5K in 24 minutes.
24 minutes. Yeah.
Right.
That's fun.
But if you try, okay, I did 5K in 25 minutes. Now I want to, run
Mm.
and be in the top 10 in Delhi. The whole thing of what we think as success is a byproduct.
Yes.
It's not the end goal.
Yeah.
So I think, and I keep talking to him, and I'm sure he's getting fed up of me talking to him because never, sometimes he'll come and tell, "Mom, I got 38 and a half. I was the first."
I got 139 and 3/4.
And he doesn't elicit any
Response from me.
response from me.
Okay.
So I think he must be thinking, something is wrong with my
Not
mother.
my mom.
But I think
Suppose he has to influence a group of people, and because say 10 years from now he could be leading a company or be nowadays kids they don't go for regular jobs, they make their own companies and maybe sell Jason's bioenzyme and I don't
the idea appeals to him.
I
The
find that
thought of making money always makes him happy.
Very happy.
Very happy.
that's right.
I think there are ample opportunities, for a child, even outside, to learn all these skills.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they have this opportunity to actually work with a very diverse group
Outside. Yeah.
outside.
I agree.
Because you're not just probably handling, other 12 years old year olds. You probably
Maybe.
have to convince, somebody who's 50 years old to join your club.
And also from different backgrounds.
And from different backgrounds, different countries.
Yeah, like I have someone from Russia.
Russia, yes. In real life, it's not like that. Because in real life, you have to deal with others.
Yes.
And it is often a teamwork that pulls things up for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't figure out that you need these skills, you still will operate as an individual, and you will still think that these things that drive me are the same things that drive somebody else. When it's totally something else that may be driving them. And that that this realization that I cannot have the same expectations of what I give out of everybody else in the team. I think if you don't kind of understand that this is how human beings are, I think you will, when you come to your work or later on in life, it will be like a rude shock.
Jason, thank you so much for. I feel like touching you. Thank you so much, and I pray that you grow up to be a very loving son to your dad and mom, and you be an empathetic individual who will do the world a whole lot of good. And no matter what the world says, be strong and be bold and be like probably like Obama or Abdul Kalam.
Thanks, man. Bye.